video. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm doing this upside down. So I am gonna change the thickness. I want it wide here and come down and get a little thinner. Fat and thin, just like we practiced. And I'm doing it upside down. You don't have to do it upside down. So see if you can come up with your shape. Don't worry about it being perfect. It's not important that it's perfect. Make you a large pumpkin shape on this orange paper.
Yeah.
Whoops, I'm making my camera wobbly. Now, I like your pumpkin shape, Tristan, but it doesn't take up the whole paper.
Oh.
It's a really great first effort, but we can make it larger. So I'm gonna give you another sheet of paper and see how large you can make it. I'm gonna take yours and play with it a little bit, I think. See if you can make it big, and let me do this on both of yours. Just a minute. I'm gonna start up here. We're gonna start right here where that dot is and come around to here. So make that big C shape, okay? So right here, put your brush here and make a huge C shape that comes around to there. See if you can do it. Remember, we're learning strokes. That's what we're doing right now, is learning strokes. We're not necessarily making a gorgeous picture. Now, if you want to go back over your line, you can. I think you're gonna need a little more paint in that brush. And there you go, and go back and forth on that. Ah, now these are much bigger, aren't they? Okay, at the top, just make a little thing like this. Right here, make a little hump. Perfect. Now make a backward C that kind of ends up here, because if you don't, start right here and come all the way around. If it doesn't get fairly even with this, your pumpkin's not going to sit up too well. Okay. Excellent. Remember, we got to keep our paint inky. Inky is a term I use for paint that has been thinned down. And when it's inky, it spreads really well. Now, Chloe, yours got so large, it's right there at the edge. That's perfect. That is a huge pumpkin. When you go to find one to make a jack-o'-lantern or something, do you try to find the biggest ones? I know. I'm gonna do something to yours though, Tristan. Yours got slightly lopsided, but you know what's gonna make it cute? I'm gonna do this, and I want you to put some humps on it and have a baby one right there beside it. Remember, start at the top and come around. There we go. Perfect. You can put humps in the bottom of it. If you need to replenish your brush at any time, do so. Don't worry about those lines that were there. You decide what to do. Okay. Now, I'm going to put a stem on this. And I'm going to make it crooked because I love crooked stems. And nature makes these really weird. There's no perfect way to make that. Just make a stem at the top of your pumpkin. I make mine crooked. They can be straight. They can crook to the right. They can crook to the left. They can be straight. And this is cut off right here because that's where they cut it off the vine. If you want a few little tiny lines on it, you can, because this is like tree bark almost. Look how little you're getting those. Great. You're learning brush control, Chloe. Excellent. Now, I put the weirdest eyes and the weirdest expressions on my pumpkins. So watch me do one, and then you do one the way you want. We know we can make triangle eyes, but I hardly ever do. I'm gonna make this, let me see if I can get it into a point so it's not huge. I'm gonna make big eyes. And I'm gonna make them uneven on purpose, because when you make them uneven on purpose, it makes them spookier. Okay, I made a big circle and a larger circle, and now I'm putting the eyeballs in. And do you see I left a little bit of unpainted in there? That's a highlight in the eyes. And see if you can do that. Yours do not have to look like mine. They can be triangles. They can be the same size. They can touch in the middle and be cross-eyed.
I do triangles.
Okay, do triangles. Now remember, we're going to try to pull our brush rather than push it. Do you want to make eyeballs inside those triangles?
No.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Now think about your nose and think about your mouth, what you're going to do. I don't always do a triangle nose. I do a lot. But sometimes I just make little circle noses because it gives them a character look.
I do the same thing with the eyes. I do
A triangle nose? Okay, make a triangle nose. And I'm going to remind you one more time. I watched you make that. And you did this. You went down, over, back up. And you don't always control it. It's better if you go down, over, down. Because when you pull the strokes, it's easier to control them. Yours is getting a little bit of a wash effect because it doesn't have as, I made a dot on there, I'm sorry. It doesn't have as much paint. So load your brush up with more paint up here. When I look at my pumpkins, they nearly always make me smile because they're silly. Okay, I'm going to show you one way to make a mouth. You can make it any way you want. I'm going to do this where I give him a big tooth and come around, and I'm going to give him a big tooth here and one there. And then I'm painting this in. And it shows up the teeth. Remember, I have to dip back into my paint when it runs out. You can make just a watermelon slice for the mouth. You can do it any way you want. And remember, all we're doing right now is still practicing our brush strokes. So think about pulling the strokes rather than pushing them. Oh, and you're making the sharp teeth. That's cool. That's the easier way to cut them out when you're cutting a large pumpkin. But I would come down with it and make the bottom too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Okay. Okay, you can make scary eyes. Let me show you a scary eye. I'm gonna make it really big so you can see it. And I'm still painting upside down. If you do this weird shape like this, that makes the eye look what I consider evil. You can do this weird eyebrow to make your eyes look kind of evil. Or you can do just a regular eyebrow to make them look cute. So you decide how yours is going to look. If you want to give him an eyebrow, you can give him an eyebrow.
Mine looks scary.
Okay. See how this one is cross-eyed?
Mm-hmm.
And I gave mine a few freckles. You don't have to.
Can I do this one?
Yes, please do. It's kind of like a baby, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just putting some extra little lines in mine to show where the gourd, you know what pumpkin is a gourd, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Where the gourd is divided, but you don't have to do that. You can if you want. Now, you can either try to sign your name or not. It's up to you. Now, before we start our other one, I am going to show you another trick, because we're going to use it on our other one too. Okay, I took my brush and dipped it in the water, and then came over here, not in the same paint. I am trying to make a wash. A wash is really thin down paint. That's a wash. Do you see how it makes this have, and I can even wash away some more of the paint. It gives it shadow without being the heavy color. So wash most of the paint out of your brush and then come over in here and try. I don't know if this is going to be, oh, this is making him look really spooky. Now this is going to dry lighter. We are getting this orange paint wet, paper wet. And when we wash it out, it's going to be lighter. So what is a wash? It's thin down paint. What is a wash? You need to say it. It's thin down paint.
I can get it.
Okay, you need to wash more paint out in your water. And then try just putting a few of these lines on the face to make him spookier. Yeah. Yeah, and bring it down. Yeah. And then he's floating right now. If we get a little bit of shadow underneath him, it looks like he's sitting on something instead of just floating in the air. So using a wash on our paper gives it more of a finished look. And see, this is only the two colors. It's the black and the orange.
Okay.
Add some more water to your brush and extend it out a little bit. You want a shadow underneath that little pumpkin and a little bit of shadow in here too. Okay, try my fatter brush and see if that helps. Get some more, here, dip it in the water and in here. Okay, and spread it out. Ooh, yours is spooky. You can put a little shadow up on your stem if you want. You don't have to, but you can. And then we're gonna lay these off to the side.
So they dry.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you this one back because you can make really good fine lines with that. Okay, I hardly ever do this. I'm gonna put just a little bit in here. Woo, that's way too dark. To separate those two and to make him look like he's not floating in the air, okay? And it's gonna dry a lot lighter. See how light my lines have dried? Okay, we're gonna put these over here on the table to dry, and then we're gonna start our guide. So you're gonna have to get up and move. Get up and move. Do you like them? I think they're cool. Now that we've had practice doing a little bit of brush control, we're gonna get a great big sheet of paper. Now, your first orange sheet, I took both of yours away. Why? You didn't do bad work. Why did I take them away? They were too tiny. What?
Because they were too tiny.
They were too tiny. I want these to be great big. So I'm gonna put a line on here for you with a pencil. And this line that I put is where we're gonna start our hat. So I'm gonna come in here and put a line. And I'm gonna show you, you can try this with a pencil if you want to, because I don't want you drawing this in pencil. I want you to draw this in paint, because this is a really good skill for you. And I need to get my paper. I didn't get mine. And I'm gonna paint mine upside down again. Oops. Okay, you can laugh, it was funny. Ugh. When I bend over, I have to run. Because I'm fairly old. I taught school for 30 years. That's a long time, isn't it? And I am gonna put my line right here too.
My grandma did school too.
Oh, she did. Okay, take your pencil and use the eraser, not the lead. And come over about this far. Here, I'm gonna have to wash the table. Go ahead and just set the brush down. Okay, come over a little way and come up not quite straight. Let it flare out a little bit. You're coming up here. That's a little wide. Come in a little bit right about there. Okay, now move over about the same distance and come up again with a little flare. And we're gonna come up. Okay, and then it's going to be a rounded line. You see how you can practice with a pencil eraser? Here's the problem. When you practice with a pencil and you draw a dark line, you can still see that, can't you? Look what I can do. That eraser will disappear when you go over it. Look at this little line you did. It's gone. And that helps us get started. So now we're gonna take our brush. We're gonna load it with our paint. First put it in the paint and then work it into a point. We're going to pull our brush. So you're going to come up to where you did this little dot and you're gonna pull it down and make your line. It can be fairly thick. And stop. We're gonna come over here, touch it to that line, and come down and stop. You need more paint on yours when it gets that way, so get paint on it. Now, Chloe, you're not close to it, but that's okay, but be careful not to put your hand in that or you're gonna get black all over you. I like the fact that you pulled your sleeves up. Now we need to, I love the shape of that. Now we need to come in here and close up our hat. Do you see how these guys have black hats? This guy has a white top hat. So instead of painting this in, this young artist decided not to paint it in. Most of these are painted in. Look at this one. This artist painted in and left a hat band. So I'm gonna get mine closer down here so you can see it. There we go. And you can decide if it has a hat band or not. Here's what we're going to do. This is an arc. An arc is part of a circle. We're gonna come around here like that. And I think I want mine to have a hat band, so I'm gonna kind of come in around like that. I made this arc going the other way, but you don't have to. Oh, we made these hats so big. Our guy's gonna have a face, but not much shoulders. See how on this example, our guy has big shoulders and things. We're not gonna have those biggest shoulders in this one because I got you to make your hat so large. And part of that was because I was painting upside down. Okay. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna get my,
That is so skinny.
I turned it back around. I'm gonna get my guy's face coming in here like that. You'll see I came down and I came down. It works better than pushing it up. So get you a large U shape. It does better if you come down and then come down. Okay, make it come down here and then break this one down to it. Okay.
My guy has a very long face.
That's good. It does better if you'll come up here and come back down and meet it. You have to watch where your brush is going, but yeah. Now, the brim of the hat comes back around here like that. Oh, we're gonna have a little bit of a neck and shoulders. Okay.
Okay, that one's bigger than that one.
You know what you can do if we, are you gonna paint yours in black?
Yeah.
Well, then you can just extend this line down here, and when you paint it, no one will know that you changed the line.
Oh.
There's a lot of ways in art that you can correct lines that you don't like. And I don't like to call them mistakes. I call them lines you don't like. And there's a lot of way to fix them. Now, does it look more balanced to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it's really hard for me to do this upside down. Are you gonna let me turn my paper?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna start right up here here's my hat. So make a line right there for the top of his hat. Bring it down a little bit and make a line for the top of this hat. Boy, that's a big hat. I got mine. Yours actually fits your face better than mine does. I like yours better. I want to trade. You want to trade? No, decent. I'm not going to trade with you. Okay. We're going to come in here and do eyebrows. Just right here. And I'm making mine big, bold eyebrows. Leave room in between. Monobrows are not in style. Monobrows are the brows that touch. Yeah, a little bit. Get it closer together. You can make them nice and thick. Okay, now look at my face. Is there room between my eyebrows and my eye? There's room for, with my eye open, maybe a finger's width. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try to keep my brush thin, and I am going to draw a leaf shape right there.
What?
Leave some room in between the eyebrow and the eye.
I did mine so thin.
Okay, make another one. Okay, yours is getting really washed out. Come over here and get a little bit of water and some paint. You can even make this bigger. Remember what I said about how we can change our lines? Now this time I am going to paint in a large eyeball. So let's make this one a little bit longer here, and your eyeball will get rid of that line. Thank you, Tristan.
What? It's longer.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Here's what I'm saying. Come over with your paint a little bit and make that bigger, and then this can be the eyeball. And then it doesn't look like you made a big mistake. You changed your mind. Tiny little lines. Tiny as you can make them. Kind of under there. You can even give him crow's feet. Do you know what those are?
Crow's feet?
Yeah, they're not the feet of a bird. They're little wrinkles at the eyes. You get their laugh lines. When you laugh a lot and you crinkle up your eyes, you get these little lines. And an older person, this is a mature man. So when we get older, we get wrinkles. Now I'm gonna take this piece of paper and I'm gonna show you how people draw noses. All wrong. I'm gonna get my brush wet, get it over in here and shape it back into a thing. Here's an eye. Here's an eye. And people draw noses like that. That's not what a nose looks like. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over and come in this space and draw an eye and another eye. And I'm gonna come down here and make a little U and a couple of little things. Does that look a little bit more like the bottom of a nose? Now, when you're looking up at an adult, if you're sitting down and I come stand over you, you look up, you can see these big black holes in my nose, can't you? If I turn my head down, do you see the big black holes? When you look at most people on eye level, on the same level, you don't see those great big things like that. I was like a pig. So we're going to just come down. Let's get your pencil. Come down about this far. Come down right in there. Give him a fairly long nose. And we're going to draw this shape. Really tiny, like this. We're going to go a little flat U and two little lines. And don't worry if it's not perfect. We're not perfect people. Kind of like that. And noses are bigger than you think. Well, Chloe's got a little nose. Mine's big. Trista, oh, you're trying to flare your nostrils, aren't you? That makes your nose even longer, wider.
No, I was just laughing.
I know. Okay, take it and put your pencil down and take your paintbrush and get some paint on it in here and make it into a point and make you a nose. And don't worry about being perfect. Okay. We're not going to draw this line. There's not really a line for your nose. We're going to put some wash on it later. The way noses show up is the light hits one side of it and you get a shadow on the other side. You can feel that it gets thinner right here if you use your fingers without paint on them. It gets thin here and then wider here. It spreads out kind of like a triangle. But we're not even going to make those lines yet. And it goes all the way up to your eyebrows. We're going to use wash to do that. Right now what we're going to do is decide what kind of mustache this guy has. And we're gonna make it in nice and black. Now, if he was redheaded or brown hair and all that, it's gonna look different. But a lot of Victorian men wore big mustaches. So that's a nice line, but make it a little bit fatter, a little thicker. Some of them, have you ever heard the word handlebar mustaches?
No.
Well, you know what the handlebars on a bicycle look like? Some of these guys had these long ones that came up and curled up. Isn't that cool? But yeah, that was kind of silly. I like to leave just a little bit in between like you did because they usually don't grow all the way together. Sometimes they do. You're gonna see all different styles of mustaches. On my gentlemen, I usually do this. On my cowboys, I usually do this. When I paint cowboys, here's their nose. And I paint big old bristly mustaches because that's what I think a cowboy mustache looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, the bottom lip. Try to get your brush into a point and give him a bottom lip. And maybe a few little lines in there. We will put some value in it later. Now, is he going to have a full beard or is he going to have a goatee? That's you to decide. Here's what I will do. I will make my guy with a goatee and then I'll turn it into a full beard. Then you decide which you like better. Here's what a goatee looks like. There's a little hair here. It comes out like this and down usually into a point. If you like that and that's what you want to do on your guy, paint it in. I'm going to take this goatee and bring it up a little bit like this, and this makes it a full beard. So you decide, do you want just the chin hair or do you want it to come up the side of his face? So I'm going to make this a fuller beard. So you get to decide if you want a goatee, and here's a guy that has a goatee, but you can't really tell because of his tie. On the regular picture you could. He has a really nice goatee. See how it's nice and pointy? Mm-hmm. So you can make him a goatee or you can make him a full beard. And remember our brush strokes. We try to pull our brush rather than push it.
I think I need a little more paint.
Okay, you're doing dry brush because your brush is too dry, so add a little more paint to it. Yours looks like a magician.
It does.
It does kind of look like a magician. That's cool. Tristan, I don't think your guy has eyeballs. Poor guy, where's he looking? I think you need to go back and give him some eyeballs.
Okay.
And goatees, sideburns. Sideburns are the hair that comes down from the hat down to the bottom of the ear that we haven't drawn yet. And it grows on the side of the face. So, you're still styling his beard, aren't you? Now, I'm going to show you an easy way to draw an ear. Ears are the weirdest thing, and they're funny shape. But we're just going to use a shortcut. Here's the side of the face. I'm going to bring it down here so they can see it on camera. Here's the side of the face. We're going to get little lines, and we're going to make kind of a question mark. Not too big. Your ear starts at your eyes. You know how I know it does? Look at my face. I wear glasses. if I come straight back from my glasses, it goes to the top of my ear. So I know ears start right at the eyes and they go down to about the bottom of the nose. Here's my bottom of my ear down to about the bottom of my nose. Most people draw ears too small and they worry about drawing too much detail. It is just kind of a little question mark. And on the other side, you do it the opposite. Try to make them little. Try to get a thin line. My lines aren't very thin. But that's all you need to suggest an ear. The guys look funny without an ear. Come up a little higher. You can put it up in that hat.
I don't know.
That's okay. Come over here and try to make that one match. People have all different shape of ears. And I want to tell you a fun fact. As you age, your ears keep growing. And that's why some men that are 70, 80 years old have these gigantic ears. Guess what?
Not this big.
Well, not that big, not Dumbo ears. Women have large ears too, but we have a secret. We cover them with hair. So a lady that gets pretty old, her ears are pretty big, but she just puts hair over them. Okay, now, necks are bigger than you think. Here's what most people do when they're drawing a neck.
Your neck is this big.
Well, your neck comes down from your ears almost. Most people do this for a neck. That's not what your neck looks like. You don't have this little pencil neck. You've got a nice neck. So I'm gonna come here. We can do it first with our pencil if you want to, but be careful because you can smear this paint if you touch it. We're gonna come down just a little way. We can make this go in a little way because you don't see the whole neck when a man's wearing a shirt. So I'm gonna come down here, not too far down, and back up. Do you see that? I'm gonna put a collar on him. Let me color this one in so you can see where it's going. Okay, stop on your beard. You're getting carried away with your beard. I'm gonna come down here, not too far, and this is the top of his shirt, like that. It's gonna kind of mirror your goatee.
I don't know. Does that look good?
I want to tell you, Tristan, do you see how light that paint is?
Mm-hmm.
What do we call it when it's light paint? A wash. That looks more like a wash. Now, I am going to come, I'm going to let you get it done. There we go. I'm going to come out this way, like that. This is his shirt collar.
Shirt collar?
His shirt collar. This guy's wearing a shirt and that's his shirt collar.
My shirt collar is pretty little. This guy's shirt is pretty little too.
Okay. Now I'm going to come here and give him large shoulders.
Can I color in the shirt? Because
I wouldn't make it black. We can make it another color if you want. That's why we're using acrylic paint. We can make it other colors later if you want to. Make this come out to here. Make it come over and then down, and I just painted on your finger. Okay, I'm gonna give him,
it looks like he's
do we want a bow tie or a regular tie?
regular tie.
Okay, do you want a bow tie or a regular tie?
Regular.
Okay, if you want a regular tie, you come with a circle and then paint it in.
What? My goodness.
See, I like to give you choices.
My circle's gonna be huge.
Well, don't worry about it, Tristan. Just do the best you can because are you an established artist or a beginning artist?
Beginning.
You are a beginning artist. Give yourself some grace.
Wow,
Oh, and I like the fact that you made yours wide. Ties change styles. sometimes they're pencil thin and sometimes they're really wide. And the Victorian age, they wore bow ties and they wore wide ties. So I'm gonna even make mine wider. Okay. Now we've got to put lapels on this guy. What in the world is a lapel? Do you know, Tristan? Do you wear coats sometimes? Do you ever have a collar that folds over this way? Or does it just zip up the front?
I don't know.
You don't know. Well, here's a lapel. That's this part of the collar that folds over. Ooh, he's got a boutonniere in here. He's got a flower in his. Oh, this person must have been sitting by him because they did it too. So here's what a lapel looks like. I'm gonna come down here and watch me before you do it. It comes out, in, out, and down, and then you've got to come down here. This is his shirt. This is his lapel. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to come out, in, out, down, and then I'm going to come back and join it up, and that's his lapel. You can put a flower in here if you want.
I have no clue. Okay, I'll try.
And that's just a flower like this is just a bunch of little U's. Let me show you again. If you want to do those are wonderful lapels, Chloe. Now, if you want to do a flower, watch this. It's just a bunch of U's. U. And turn some of them, some are C's, some are this way. And I'm not drawing a flower. I'm drawing these lines that represent a flower. And then it looks like one to you. I'm liking your guys.
It looks like this guy has tentacles.
That's okay. You are a beginning artist. Now, I'm going to come down and make my shoulders go down to the bottom. And I am ready to wash my brush out and make, what is it?
Wet brush.
Yeah, but what is it when you don't have much paint in it?
Water brush?
Wash?
Wash brush.
Yeah, we're making a wash. I'm washing out nearly all the paint, and I'm going to come in here and put a little shadow on his neck. If that's a little dark, we can wash in this water. So you try it under his neck, because look at my neck. My neck is the same color as my face, but does it look a little darker because the light doesn't hit it? Mm-hmm. And Chloe's neck really looks dark because her hair shadows it, and it looks really dark, but it's the same color as her face. So you can give him some wash on his neck, and if it's too dark, come in this water and wash it out. Wash it out for the wash. That's cool. That's pretty dark. Try washing out your brush a little bit here to see if it lightens it up. Okay, now we're going to come up here, and you need to watch me for a minute. I am going to put wash here from the eyebrow and come down in a line like this. And only a little bit on this side. Because I'm using almost no paint, it's giving us shadows, and I can shape his nose a little bit. So take your brush and wash it off in this water. Come back and put some little wash lines in here. And shape his face. Oh, that's good wash. And what is wash? Thin down paint. Get some above his eyes. Look at my eyes. There's shadow right here above my eye. I didn't put eyeshadow on today. It's darker here because of the way the light hits it. This is how we give our drawings a lot of life. And remember, we're using really just a wet brush with a tiny bit of pigment in it. And that's how we get the wash. I'm giving him some cheekbones up under this hat. It's really dark. That hat shadows the top of his face.
Those are so cool.
Haven't they done a marvelous job?
Yeah.
I know. And now we have to decide. I want my hat black. Do you want your hat black?
Yes.
Okay, I suggest you make a hat band across here and leave it the light color. Or you can just put a little wash on it. I'm going to put a little bit of wash on my hat band. Not all the way, just because the ribbon that they put around it washed it. Now, I'm going to dip in this dark paint and I'm going to make this a black top hat. And we waited because we wanted to make decisions about what we did. We don't have to have this hat black, but you can do it if you want. And that little line that you have here is going to disappear if you paint him a black top hat. Now, these hats were expensive and the men took good care of them. Their top hat lasted them a long time.
How come?
Because they took really good care of them. And when you get up to this hat, if you want to, I'm going to leave a little bit of white in here like that for a reflection. You know what a reflection is?
Yeah.
Okay. So because sometimes these hats look a little shiny, I am leaving this white area right here in my hat unpainted. And then I'm just filling this in. Guys, I hope you're proud of your work. I think you did a wonderful job. Are they perfect? Well, no, you're beginning artists, but they're awesome. And I'm going to take pictures of them. What I like to do with my student work, it goes home to the student, but I get to take a photograph of it and keep it for myself. And look what happened. Tristan, what do I need to do? Dip it in more paint. That's a dry brush. And sometimes we use a dry brush to do special effects, but I want this one painted in.
Dry brush.
Right, get some more paint and paint it in. Dip it in the water and then in the paint. So you're gonna, and do both sides of your brush like this. This side of the brush, well, this side of the brush, and then turn it over to this side of the brush. And you're gonna get a lot of paint on it at one time. So you can paint that in. Now, when you get down to the hat band, you want to maybe come back up so that you don't paint over the band. My stomach thinks it's starving and it's not. I'm going to give it some water. Okay, after we get this guy painted in, we're going to take a break.
I feel like we spent like an hour doing this.
We have taken a long time. But if we do things too fast, do they always turn out the way you want?
No.
That's why art takes time and learning takes time. Are you going into 4th grade, Tristan?
No, I'm going in third. I'm going in second.
You're going into 2nd. Well, you're younger than I thought you were. My grandson's going into 3rd at Bedford Elementary.
How old did you think I was?
I thought you were 8.
No, I'm 7.
You're 7. Well, I made a mistake. Is it okay if I thought you were older than you were? Okay, I'm gonna wash off my brush. I'm gonna put a little shadow under his lip. Not a whole lot.
If I was an age and I would stay that age forever, I would pick 7.
You would, because you're happy the way you are right now?
Yeah, because I can do cartwheels.
Because you can do what?
Cartwheels.
Oh, okay.
I can even do it with one hand.
Okay, I'm gonna turn mine around and look at him and see if I want to do anything else. I put a few little lines on his hat band because I wanted to. Oh, I know what else I want to do.
I left a little bit of white area.
I'm gonna put him some eyelids, but they're ooh, tiny, tiny.
See, I left a little bit of weight on them
Yeah.
because it's shiny.
Okay, I gave him eyelids. You don't have to, but I think he looks better with them. But I really made him kind of fatter than I wanted. Okay, the last thing you can do, and I don't know if I can do it well or not because there's so much pigment in my brush. I'm gonna do just a little bit of wash in the background. I might need some fresh water because I'm just gonna do it part way, not all over. And just do a little bit here and there. Does that make his suit show up a little bit more?
Yeah.
It does. Now we can leave him in a white suit. We could make him have a black suit, but I think that's too much to paint all that in. And we're gonna do just a little bit here and there and then take a break. I want some more clean water. Did you see their practice over there for their brush strokes?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they did not draw that with a pencil. They only practiced.
I really like the shading.
I know, isn't that nice? Well, hey, I'm gonna give you some more clean water.
You guys. Just this little listening, I think I learned a whole lot. These are so wonderful.
Aren't they? They're gonna make gorgeous cards. Now, wash your brush off if you want to, and then thin out this wash close up to them because we've got so much pigment in here. So here's this water, Chloe. You want to get it a little bit cleaner so that it fades off close to our guy. And I'm only going to put the shadow on one side because usually when the sun comes out, it shadows one side and not the other. I'm just as pleased as I can be.
Yeah, they're just wonderful.
Okay, let me see what I've got here.
Chloe, you did just an amazing job. I really like this dark shading in here. It really kind of gives it.
Don't
some
you think they look
definition.
better when you've got thick lines and thin lines? The contrast between the fat lines and the thin lines make them better. That's my opinion. Okay,
We
I
have to
am
hang these in the museum.
going to
Wonderful.
have you pick up your paper and hold it up in front of you. And I am going to turn the camera up if I can. And it'll probably come off of here. Hold it up a little higher. There we go. Awesome. And I'm gonna move it over. and get Chloe. Awesome. I am just very, very proud of you, and I'm about to turn the camera
I
off.
really like